This is my lightweight tactical knife package. I make tactical knives in a lot of different weights and styles. If you've been on the website, you know that I make a lot of different kinds of knives. This particular knife has been a great honor to make. I've made the Pararescue Light PJLT for, oh gosh, since the early 90s. This knife was originally designed with the direct input of U.S. Air Force pararescue professionals. Pararescue jumpers, our nation's top military rescue service. And it's been a great honor to make these knives for so many years. This particular knife is one of my most popular models. It has a very nice, almost 6-inch long Tonto style blade. This particular knife is made of 440C, high chromium stainless steel. It's completely corrosion resistant. It's suitable for marine use, saltwater, underwater exposure. It's a very, very tough, very durable knife. I've done a particular kind of treatment here to make it all black. That's something I've started doing recently in the last couple of years that people have asked for. But the knife is all stainless steel blade, 304 stainless steel bolsters, G10 fiberglass epoxy laminate handle, and coyote in black. It's a very tough, sturdy knife. I've got my hammerhead serrations on the blade. It's a real working knife. One of the things pararescuemen asked for many years ago was a positively locking sheath. This is the sheath I've made now since the early 90s. It is the best locking sheath made in the world today. And the reason is it is absolutely positively locking. The knife cannot come out of it until it's released. And it's released with it's held in there with a all stainless steel mechanism. This is many components here to make this sheath, yet it's incredibly simple. The sheath is built on a frame of anodized 5052 H32 corrosion resistant high strength aluminum alloy. Some very tough stuff. I've done the sides, front and back, in double thickness Kydex. This is 1/8 inch thick Kydex, whereas most other makers and manufacturers are only using Kydex half that thickness. So it's a very strong knife. The sheath. The sheath is based on a 2.5 inch bolt spacing pattern, here, and of course on both sides. And it's held together with Chicago screws. These are all stainless steel Chicago screws. So it makes the sheath extremely versatile. With simply a screwdriver, you can change the sheath up and have a lot of different ways that the knife and sheath can be worn. And I believe in the philosophy of that a knife is not carried, it is worn. And you have to have the right kind of gear to wear your knife in any kind of mission, any kind of situation, any kind of gear setup you may have. So let's look at some of these setups. Right now, the way it's rigged is I have the low profile belt loops. These are 5052 H32 corrosion resistant high strength aluminum alloy, and I've anodized these, and all of the aluminum in this kit is anodized for a near ceramic hard surface, permanent dye coloring, and extreme abrasion resistance. So it makes these aluminum just as tough and durable and color matching as it can possibly be in this kind of application. Now these are low profile belt loops. As I said, they will accommodate a belt that's 0.190 inches thick up to that size and 1.5 inches wide. In addition to this belt loop pair, I have a higher profile belt loop pair. These are taller. I'll hold them up here so you can kind of see. These will accommodate a belt that's 1/4 of an inch thick, 0.250 inch thick. And this is for those newer model double thickness webbing belts that a lot of the tactical gear has and guys like to use. And to change these out, it's just a simple matter. Of course I have to get my glasses because I'm an older guy. And you just take a screwdriver and loosen these up. They don't need to be extremely tight. You don't want to tighten it so hard that you start deforming and bending metal. And I'll take these off real quick. And they just are held on with the Chicago screw, standard Chicago screw nails. Now the female Chicago screws are here. If these become difficult in the kit, I've included a brass push rod. This, in case any debris or any of the cement, this is held together with waterproof cement. Any of that gets sticky in there, it's real easy to push them out with this. And you have a female Chicago screw, which is the basis for this kit. By the way, all the threads in this particular kit are 832 coarse thread, universal thread, so Everything's standardized. And to bolt these on, you just simply line them up and bolt them on and get the different size die-formed aluminum belt loops. By the way, these are also called footman's loops, and that dates back to a time when there were steamer trunks. And the steamer trunks, if you can picture the old steamer trunks in the 1920s, they would have these this kind of shape all around them, holding the heavy leather straps so it would hold the trunks together. But that's where they get their name of footman's loops. So the die-formed aluminum belt loops are a way for standard wear and carry if you're going to have it on your belt or webbing, and that doesn't matter where your belt or webbing is. I know guys wear it all over the place. So sometimes you want the rig to not move around. In other words, you don't want it to be on a belt loop that slides on the belt. You want it to be permanently attached to the belt. And the best way to do that is with these vertical clamping straps. So here it looks like the belt loop, only this is 1/8 of an inch thick. And you can see it goes right here, or it goes anywhere on the sheath where you have the 2.5 inch bolt spacing pattern. Completely reversible, by the way. This is a totally reversible sheath. And by clamping over a web, say if you have some PALS webbing is 1 inch, if you were to put this like this and clamp this down, this will rigidly and securely clamp it, and it will not move. So there's the vertical belt loops. Now let's say you want to wear this knife horizontally. Let me spin these off real quick here. Let's say you have the pouch attachment ladder system or the PALS webbing, and you want to wear this somewhere along the webbing. Here's a perfect example. This is 1 inch wide webbing, which is what the pouch attachment ladder system has, and a lot of tactical gear has. And you want to wear it this way, in this fashion. Well, the easiest way to do that is with the horizontal belt loop clamping straps. And how they work is they align with a pair of holes, and you have to choose, you have to look at it. This one doesn't quite fit, you know, it's wider, so this one goes up here. And you can see how that's attached. And the narrower one then will go here. So these will clamp rigidly to the webbing and strap. So it makes this very versatile as to where you can position this. Now let's say I want to wear this with belt loops, standard belt loops, but I want to wear it horizontally, say right here on my belt or in the middle of my back, but horizontally. But I want it to slide around a little bit. That's why I've included these. These are horizontal belt loop plates. And these are reversible also. They attach on the sheath like so. Now, each one of them only attaches in one position because each sheath is different, and each position is different. But you can move them around and see where the holes line up. For instance, this would be the correct configuration if I were going to put it on this side. I can also put it on the other side, and there might be a slightly different configuration, but it's the same. This plate goes to this pair of holes. This plate goes to this pair of holes, but it is reversible. And this allows you to wear it, again, like I said, horizontally, and in a standard belt loop fashion. It'll slide around a little bit for positioning. And because it's reversible, you can wear it with the lock up or the lock down, the left side, the right side, back, front, wherever you want to wear it. So that's the standard mounting assembly for this that's included. And this, by the way, the same mounting assembly is included for all of my kits. All of my kits have, with the locking sheath or the hybrid tension locking sheath, they have this entire kit that I just showed you. So now I'll show you other ways to wear it and some of the accessories. One of the first accessories that guys ask for is for a very small flashlight to be able to get out of a situation where it's dark, they're out late at night, or they just need to look at something and they need something small. Well, flashlights have come a long way in the last 20 years, as you probably well know. So I wanted to include a really nice little light, and this is just an emergency backup light. This is not my main key light that I include with other kits, but this is a very lightweight kit. So what I have here is called the LIMA. LIMA stands for Lamp Independent Mount Assembly. So this is a lamp, It's independently mounted. It's an independent assembly, and it mounts anywhere on the sheath where the 2.5 inch bolt spacing pattern is. So you can mount it anyway. You can mount it here. You can mount it up or down. You can mount it in or out on any side, wherever. You can mount it down here if you want. You can mount it inside the sheath for more compact. And because it's on a webbing assembly, it's somewhat flexible. It's a heavy-duty nylon web. In this particular case, I use nylon or polypropylene. It's all hand-stitched with polyester, and so it's very durable. And then to retain the lamp in the pocket, first off to mount it, this is this 304 stainless steel strap. It's very, very durable, and it screws wherever the Chicago screws are. Let me show you how that works, so you can see how that mounts quickly here. Run the Chicago screw through the hole, and you see you can clamp it anywhere there's the 2.5 inch bolt spacing pattern. Now let me push this out. This is where the brass rod helps, because you can get a little snug. So let's push it through the webbing. You get in between the webbing. And by the way, this webbing is, I either use very thick webbing or I use double thickness webbing. In this case, this is double thick and it's all stitched together, so it's very, very tough and durable. So now let's say I want to mount it this fashion on the sheath. So I start the Chicago screws in, but let's say that's fine, but now what do I want to do if I want a standard belt loop on this side? Well, then this is why I have so much hardware included in this. Fasteners. The fasteners, there's all kinds of different sizes for fasteners, and what you want to do is find one that's going to work for the particular length that you need. In this case, because I want a wide bearing area, I'm going to use a button head cap screw. And I'll try this button head cap screw. This is a 832 thread, and the hex wrench or Allen wrench is in with the kit, and you'll find one that just make sure there are different lengths in there, and I don't want to get too specific, but make sure that at least 3 or 4 threads are engaged into the female Chicago screw when you tighten this on here. So you can see now that with this rig, and you put your other belt loop over here, you still have your wear, and now you have your lamp assembly. Now the lamp can be put in here in 2 different ways. It's held and retained in here with this kind of a unique setup. This is these are rings I've bent in 304 stainless steel. Very, very tough, completely corrosion resistant. It's held together with some bungee cord, elastic strap, or Aki strap, depending on what country you're from. And this is one of the lamps is simply a this is a Maglite solitaire. Now an LED. It's just held through the webbing hole loop and then retained with a ring. And it absolutely cannot come out. There's no way it can come out of there without you wanting it out. And it's a handy little rig. The lamp can also be strung up this way, and you can actually use it as a finger lamp. You can actually thread this on a finger and use it to free up your hands and still be able to do some minor work and stuff. And I'm sure that they'll be used on other rigs too, other tactical gear, webbing, or what have you. So that's how the LIMA works. And again, depending on the hardware selection, the fastener selection, you can mount it in a variety of different ways on the sheath. Everything's all color matched too, by the way. So let's take that off. Take that off with this is a 332 Allen wrench or hex wrench. And with all these fasteners, the most important thing is to remember is, though they may not look like it, they're all stainless steel. And the main thing you want to worry about or be concerned about with stainless steel that you don't want to do is you don't want to get them cross-threaded. If you have any dirt or debris, if you can't start this easily by hand, there's dirt or debris in here, or the threads are messed up, and it's usually dirt or debris. You can take the Chicago screw out. If you have compressed air, it's great. If you don't, just try blowing it out with your breath or hosing it out underwater, and then make sure that the threads are smooth and even and clean. If you get it cross-threaded in there and get it seized, they're almost impossible to get apart. It's very, very strong, very tough steel. 304 is. All right, so that's the LIMA, and I believe I've covered how that goes on every side in just about any position you want. And it's a good backup lamp, emergency lamp to get out of a situation late at night. Very bright for its size, And if you need to do work like look into a dark hole. Had one client, he was into archaeological protection. He worked with an agency that protected archaeological sites in the jungle, and he carried his rig with one of these around just to be able to look in a dark hole every now and then, even in the middle of the day. So it's a handy little accessory to have. Now, the next thing I want to show you is let's take a look at the belt loop extender. With the standard belt loops, you can see that the sheath would ride approximately here, let's put the knife in the sheath here. Where that puts the knife is up here high. Some guys, that's fine, they want it up high, or they wear it upside down even, and by the way, you can do that. This is a locking sheath. It's not coming out until you're ready to take it out. But there are a lot of guys who like standard wear, and standard wear drops the belt loop down. So it has to have an extended belt loop. This is my belt loop extender that I built for years for these, and they've worked out real well. And by the way, thanks to Vic M., who is a U.S. Navy Seabee, he first turned me on to this idea. He had made one out of duct tape and some webbing, and he really wanted to have one done nicely. So we came up with the idea and the design from that. So this is how it works. If you strip off these 4 standard locations, I call it a standard location because typically this is where most stuff goes. It can mount down here, but this is where it goes. You take these off. Let's open this thing up. You notice there's some Velcro. Notice there's some elastic strap. Stainless steel snaps. By the way, everything is stainless steel. There's nothing in here that will rust and corrode. And this is a heavily duty stitched item, and it also has this little pocket in the end, and it has a diamond pad sharpener. By the way, diamond is just about the best thing you can use to sharpen any knife nowadays, and it certainly is appreciated. But that's just a little touch-up stone that goes in the ultimate belt loop extender. You'll also notice that this belt loop extender has a pocket on the end. That pocket or web loop accommodates the LIMA, so you can actually take your lamp off of the LIMA and put it on the belt loop extender. So now you don't have to have this extra piece of webbing on here to carry your lamp around if you don't want to. So the best way to look at this is this particular one is made, like most of these are, for right side wear. If you are a lefty, contact me. We'll work something out. So this is standard, and if you notice, the easiest way to position these, if you notice, is the strap. This is called an anti-flop strap, and you'll see what the purpose of it is in a minute, is up at the handle. So you can see that normally knife is worn with the handle back, the right side, blade cutting edge back, point down. So it'll wear in this position. So the belt loop extender goes then on this side. How the belt loop extender is held in place is, again, Chicago screw females in the front. I'm using the 1/2 inch length Chicago screw females. Putting them in front, and I open the extender up, and you'll see that there are 2 cutouts here. Now these all vary depending on the knife and depending on the width and the thickness and size of the knife, obviously, in the sheath. But in these positions, I'm going to attach the 2 straps that will hold it in place. Now for this case, I'm going to use a socket head cap screw. If you notice, these have this strap right here has a counter bore. If you look at the strap on the LIMA, it's just wide open, and it'll actually fit the 1/2 inch Chicago screw will go through it. This one won't. This strap is for a socket head cap screw, and the socket head cap screw goes through the counterboard opening in the stainless steel strap, and it threads in. Now I've already turned 4 threads, so that's too long of a socket head cap screw for this application. The problem I'm going to run into is I'll bottom out this screw into this dead head Chicago screw because the bolt's too long. That's why I've included a variety of these. I probably need about a 3/8 inch one, so I'll try the 3/8 in there. I use the larger hex wrench or Allen wrench, and I'll get it started, and it turns in about 2 full turns before it starts snugging up, so I know I've got about the right length. Now I'm going to get the other one in, and this will
take a little bit of manipulation. I was using, what was I using? The, where are they? 3/8 inch, no, it's 1/2 inch. This is 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. Like I said, it doesn't matter which screws you use, just that you have at least 2 or 3 turns up to, you know, into engaging in the Chicago screw, and that you put them in by hand and slowly first so you don't cross thread them. Once I get one in, I'm going to do the same thing and do the other, get the other one in. 1/2 inch Chicago screw female. I'm holding it in with my fingers on the back side, and the strap with the counter bore up. And you can see that, let me get my 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch screws here. Let's try these. And I'm going to start it gently by hand so I can feel that it's starting straight, and it is. And now it's going to get kind of snug in here. Oops, that one fell out. Get it positioned in here. Now if these get too snug, what you can do, too tight, is you can move this webbing around a little bit. There's play in this webbing. It's just webbing after all. Now I'm going to try another 3/8 socketed cap screw. Again, I'm starting it very slowly and carefully. There we go. All right, and they don't need to be real tight. That's not going anywhere. Now, if you look this thing over, this is the back side of it, you can see that there's a lot of heavy zigzag stitching in here. This serves 2 purposes. One is it holds this cross strap, which supports the entire sheath, and it stiffens this one section here. Because when you pull a knife out of the sheath, it wants, in a belt loop extender, it wants to collapse the webbing. And you don't want the webbing to collapse and fold, so this stiffens the webbing. Now the Velcro here is just an added feature that holds it all together and pads it slightly, and it stops the sharpener from coming out of the pocket. You can see the sharpener can't come out of the pocket, you're not going to lose it. So now that's the whole ultimate belt loop extender. Now let's go ahead and put it on. The loop on these accommodates much larger belts. This will accommodate a 2.5 inch wide belt. I have a standard work belt here today, and I'll go ahead and thread it on. Now, and there it is. Now that's real nice, but if you notice, we've got this kind of action going on. So this is what the anti-flop shock cord or shock strap is for. What it does is it folds around the sheath, and it snaps, and it stops any flop or movement. When it does not hold the knife in the sheath. That's not what this is for. This is just to stop flopping around. That's why I call it anti-flop. So how it works when you need to get it out is you simply unsnap it, you reach down, you unlock the knife, and you pull up. Whoop, unlock it and pull up. Let me try that again. Takes a little practice to get the knife locked. The knife is locked in, but you want to remove it. You press the lock and remove it. It's that simple. So that's the belt, and then the anti-flop strap. And that's that kit. That's the belt loop extender. All right. Now let's move on. All right. Let's take that off really quickly here. Just unsnap this. Loosen our socketed cap screws. And the straps will come off. Oops, a little more there. And a little more. I probably could have used 3/8 in all 4 of those instead of that. That's a 1/2 inch there. By the way, the 1/2 inch, the reason I include some of these longer ones is, let's say for some reason, guy wants his own LIMA, doesn't want to use this LIMA pocket, or he wants a LIMA somewhere else. He might want to thread this setup. So we'll have the Chicago screw going through here, and entering this way, and you would need a longer socket head cap screw to be able to engage your threads through that thickness of gear. Or he may be wanting to clamp it on a strap or something, who knows. So I include plenty of hardware so that the wearer can have the versatility he needs for his various wear styles and equipment, his own equipment. All right, ultimate belt loop extender. The next thing that guys ask for, whoop, there go the Chicago screws. By the way, I always include 1 or 2 extra of the Chicago screws in case you have the dropsies and lose one. Anyway, now we have the knife and the sheath again. Another wear position guys ask for frequently is a sternum harness. And the sternum harness means the knife is sitting right over the sternum with the handle down. And it's a nice place for a knife. It's out of the way of gear. You're going to be real careful. These are razor sharp. But you can see this would be a nice place to carry a knife sometimes. So in order to do that, I've made several assemblies, but this is the lightweight assembly right here. Now when you first get this, you can see it looks like a mess of webbing, and at first it's complicated, but as you use it and use it again, you'll become familiar with it, and it becomes really very comfortable and easy to use. So let me show you how that works. If you look at this assembly, let's clear some of this out of the way here. If you look at this web assembly, you'll see one heavy buckle, a 2-inch wide heavy buckle. You'll see a 1-inch buckle, and you'll see this section. This is what's critical right here, is this section between this diamond-shaped angular change in direction of the web and the female buckle. All right, so in this section is where the knife sits. The knife sits with the handle down. This section here, let me put this on. This might make it easier. I'll put it on. You put it on over the entire shoulder, and you can see that there's that section right above my sternum, and I can reach around behind my back and get the retaining strap, which goes right here, and that stops it from flopping around. So there's the rig without the knife. Does that look good? All right. So to take it off, the easiest way is to unsnap the 1-inch and just take it over the left shoulder. So now I know where this needs to go. So this needs to mount across my sternum, the knife blade down, so it's going to mount in this position here. The easiest way to do that is come in through the front with the 1/2-inch Chicago screws, hold it in position and flip it over so you don't lose your registration. You can use any of these, but I like to use the vertical strap. Vertical clamping strap is easy, and a Chicago screw male. Go ahead and just thread those in. On all these, it's best to start them with your fingers first and then tighten them with the screwdriver later. That way everything's started nice and straight and you don't cross thread them. That's one. Let's get the other one in. Vertical clamping strap right here. 1/2-inch Chicago screw female from the front side. Is that right? Yeah. Well, we'll find out. Let me start that. Another 1/2-inch female Chicago screw. And Chicago screw male. Now that they're all started, I want to straighten this out so so the strap is perpendicular to the sheath. And once it is, you can usually just put your finger on the Chicago screw head and hold it. By the way, if you have a problem taking these apart at any time, notice that I've slotted all of the fronts of these Chicago screws. They don't come slotted. I actually slot those so that you can actually take a screwdriver here and a screwdriver here and break those loose if you ever have any problem of severe damage or something with it or can't get them apart. But usually it's just enough to hold your finger on the back side, put your finger on the head of the Chicago screw, and just hold it against the screwdriver as you push in on the male threads. And they don't need to be super tight. You don't want to tighten these so tight that they bend and deform these aluminum straps. As you can see, that is not going anywhere ever. That is not coming off of there. Now let's don it the same way we donned it before, which is over the left shoulder and over the head. And notice this angle is right below the breast here, and that's what holds the angle of the knife and the wrap around the body. I'm reaching around behind and I feel this loop. It slides along for different size guys, and it doesn't matter if it folds or bunches or any of that. It's very strong stuff. I pull my 1-inch strap around, and I'm right there. And you can adjust these. They all have tri-glides, heavy buckles. The break strength of this 2-inch buckle is 110 pounds, so it will definitely hold the knife. These rigs are not made to hold anything but the knife. They're not hoisting rigs or rescue rigs or anything like that. They're made to hold the knife. But look where it holds the knife. Now I could tighten this up a little bit and probably get it about right here, but I've got it loose, a little loose right now. And you can put this, I would suggest, if you're wearing this rig, I would suggest wearing it on the outside of everything else. Because in an emergency, it's this easy to get off. And that's pretty quick. So there you go. And you can wear the knife right across your chest. So that's the sternum harness. Now in this rig, like I said, this is a lightweight rig, and in other videos I'm going to show some heavier duty rigs with modular wear systems, which are the direction some of the heavier rigs are going. But this is, for lightweight, this is about as light as you can get and still have a serious primary edge weapon and rescue tool. Now, notice also that I've included a leather sheath. Some guys like to wear this in a standard way, and there's a leather sheath made a 9 to 10 ounce shoulder, black basket weave tool, typical law enforcement kind of sheath with a 1.5-inch belt loop. A very sturdy sheath, stitched with hand stitched with polyester. With the gear, and they're always tight in the beginning when they're new, and it's sealed too against the elements. With the gear, you can see various containers to store it. I've included a lanyard, and lanyards are best applied with a typical lark's head. A lark's head is you pull a loop through, and you pull the rope through the loop, and you have a lark's head. And this is a serious lanyard. And this is a sliding, these are sliding lanyards. And in a video I'll show you how you can actually make those. They can tighten up on the knife, or they can tighten up on your wrist. They're real easy to make, real quick. And that's the only reason to use a cord in anything is for a lanyard. You'll see knives mounted, knife sheaths mounted to gears with paracord, and it's a disaster waiting to happen, because unless you're ultra careful, cord mounted on your body can engage with anything you brush past. Let's say you're in an aircraft or even in the woods and you brush past something and the cord catches on it. It's really a lazy way to mount a sheath to any kind of gear that you're wearing. It's my personal and professional opinion. All right, you'll see also that I've included an extra length of shock cord for the LIMA, so that if this gets worn out, you've got an extra length there. You actually probably got 2 there that you can replace that with a simple knot. And everything goes in this very nice 1000 denier Cordura ballistic nylon bag, and I make these right here in the studio too. They're very sturdy, and it keeps your whole kit together. So let's pack up the kit, because that sometimes can be a little bit confusing how you get all this stuff together. So let me just quickly throw together standard. I'm going to do the standard arrangement here of the die-formed aluminum belt loops. Chicago screws there. I have no issues with guys practicing and working with their kits and getting very comfortable and familiar with them. And if they have any suggestions or ideas or improvements they wish to pursue, I love to hear it. I work with clients all the time. I think it's important that they are the most important part of this process. And this is how this has developed over the decades that I've made these knives, because I've listened to clients and what they want, and they are the reason I do what I do, and I'm so happy doing it, is because of them. Again, when you tighten these, sometimes it helps to brace your hand against the table. When you tighten them, don't tighten them too tight. They don't need to be really, really tight. They're not going anywhere. I've never actually heard of one of these getting lost. By the way, in all the decades I've made this locking sheath, since the early 90s, I've never had a problem or a failure of a single one.
and I've made hundreds and hundreds of them. So that says a lot. I'm very proud of that. Again, that's a lot of engineering goes into it. Okay, so let's pack it up. The large plate items can nest the belt loop, horizontal belt loop plates together, drop them in, nest the die-formed aluminum belt loops, start putting in the straps. If it gets tight in here, just tap on it. Just tap on it and everything will settle. Look at that. Everything will settle and go in there, including the wrenches and all the gear. Settle in the nice tin case there. The other gear can just go in the tin box. We'll leave the, let's put the LIMA back together here. Goes like this. Get that in. All right, and then the hardware will be in a screwed tin can. And if it doesn't, the lid doesn't close, just shake it around. The little ring, by the way, comes with the, some guys like to have a ring around the sharpener. And that's in there, here, and here. That goes together. The web, it's best to keep this buckled so that you can get it on quickly, like I showed you. This all goes in the kit. And also a nice pack of instructions, contact information, bio about me, materials, use, care, all of that's in here, and then it's always constantly updated on the website. And that goes in, and the kit goes in. And here we have the lightweight tactical combat rescue knife kit.